Okay.
All right.
So it's great to see everybody. This will be
Hello.
this should be an interesting call. So this is on the update patch software ticket. We had a call yesterday to go over some feedback that Mike had, and it's kind of blown up in a positive way, I think, our approach to things. So one of the questions was, hey, should we be doing all these operations and
Oh,
actions?
yeah. I remember Eugene. I think just for sake of time, do you mind
Hmm.
just jumping in? Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't I didn't know if Rachel and Constantine had context,
I
so I
think
wanted to
I
give
mean
them
those
time.
calls are recorded too. Just um
Okay.
feel free to watch those. But since we have limited time, let's just hop into what you're thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our first page. So now when you're adding software, since we don't need to do actions, oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So going to the add software page, this is our new add software page that we're doing as part of the Fleet Maintained Windows app thing. So this will be our new software thing, which I think will be done by the time we
Yep.
get here. So when you click add, since we don't actually have to do actions or operations on these things now, when you click add, you get the adding software successfully added, and now one password has been added to my
Okay.
team.
Yeah. Immediate reaction is like, those advanced options on the in the ad flow where you can like pick the install script, etc.
Yes. So
Um,
those
we
those are still
could,
necessary.
I mean, like, let's think about it for a second because we're talking about fleet maintained apps here. Um, and we are writing and testing those install scripts, uninstall scripts. You can change them later if you want to. Um, I kind of like this. I mean, I don't see any reason why is that what you're thinking? There's no reason to like bring them to this ad screen after they
Right,
click
because
add.
we're not doing any of the
Yeah.
other stuff right
Yeah,
now.
that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I think for custom
I've
packages, it'd be different, right? Because like,
for custom they might be different for custom package. Well, no, I don't know if it would be different, right? Because you're still uploading the package. And actually, what does custom package have?
Custom
yeah, and
package. Um, we could, so pre-install query is probably the thing that we could cut for even custom packages. Um,
we should let for now, I think worth thinking about, but we should let the user see and open advanced options if they want to. But it doesn't really matter here because like the flow, now that I'm thinking about it, the change that you're proposing, Eugene, doesn't impact this flow. Um, well,
Well,
it impacts the
let's go.
actions, but
It
we'll
impacts
come
the
back to it. Let's
actions.
start with I
Right.
like what you're thinking for fleet maintained apps.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So I haven't I forgot to add those options to things, so you'll see those missing, but we can add them later. So anyway, so now that we've added our application, if we click on password, we get to our new software detail page. Our action, then I've added like the number of installed, number of not installed on the hosts. And I've
Yeah.
also made these clickable so you can actually see the hosts, get to those pages. I've also made these clickable to be consistent, where host numbers now will click to all hosts versus having them roll over and whatever.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
I added the actions up here basically. So you can allow self-service. There's now a tooltip that says for users who do not have admin root access. And I can turn on install or turn on update. So if I click update to turn this on, like I get the options of doing latest or minimum version and also choose the targets. If I select minimum version and all hosts and click save, now my toggle is on. It tells me the update version that's going to be used, the minimum version basically. And it's going to
Yeah.
say the target here as all hosts. If I click install now to turn this on, oh, I can do all hosts or customs. If I change the custom, I can hit save, and then the target changes to custom because this is for the software for everything. And if I click on the target itself, I can change the target here, which will affect both update and
Oh,
install.
gotcha. Wait, do you mind going back a couple steps in the
Hmm.
flows to the
Yep.
start of update? So if we start with
Uh,
update, we're presenting the user target here, and then you're saying we present the user the target too for install.
yeah.
Um,
So because the thing is like like since we don't show target, I mean, we could make target a separate thing and just show target none to begin with, and you would have to select the target as a separate thing.
No,
But for the
it's
time
smart to
being,
do it here. I
Default.
guess my
yeah.
gut reaction was like a little bit of confusion over selecting it here. Like first, I'm trying to think of like the workflows, like first selecting update and then later selecting install and then the target, like being asked to choose the target again in that case. Because right
Well, it's
now,
say well you don't have to, right? Because whatever target is listed here, when you click on install, it'll be here. So if this was custom, custom would be selected already. So it's just
I
like
see.
in
It's
the
like a
event you
change
want to change
target.
it. Yeah, in the event you want to change. So this is just verifying that yes, I want to install for all hosts.
Okay. And my gut reaction when I see install is still, I think, a little bit unclear that it means like install everywhere it's missing. Like the connection between um, that action, like we're trying to draw this connection between that not installed count, right? And the install
Hmm.
action.
Hmm.
Um, Not immediately obvious, I think, to someone who's
Hmm.
new looking at
Right.
this.
So I can
Um,
tooltip that the same way you tooltip this.
yeah, and maybe it points them to not installed. But yeah, I mean, let's think about it from like the perspective of the admin. So they're coming in here, they've added the app to their library, they've got one password um, down below, and they're like, okay, do you mind going back to the start, like before you've
Hmm.
clicked all the
Oh, so the software detail page?
right here, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so I've added it to my library as the IT admin.
Hmm.
We're showing the not installed count, how many have it installed. We're gonna make it clear that like, I don't know, somehow this action is meant to drive this number right to
Hmm.
0 and drive this number up.
Hmm.
Um,
And actually, if you'll notice, actually, so install is turned on, you'll see this installed and this is 0 now.
right, yeah, I like
Like
that you're
it,
showing that
So that's
example there. It makes sense.
keeping in
Ian,
mind that
what you gonna say?
when you flip that toggle, it's not going to magically install everything
Right,
instantly.
right,
Um,
right.
although now here's one potential thing we could do is we could, when that toggle is flipped, have a effectively a policy fast track that gets implemented as a live query that then triggers um, like we could make this way faster by using our live query infrastructure.
It's way
Um,
faster by using
keeping in mind that that should almost certainly be another iteration, but it's something worth bringing up if we want
Hmm.
to have fast feedback rather than taking an hour. Um,
Wait, what do you
I
mean?
think
You
that would be
mean
cool.
triggering the install?
well, specifically, like we would still need to run the policy to make sure we're not installing over hosts that already have it,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
doing a team-wide or scope-wide live query that's the exact same as what we would do for the policy, and then piping that into the policy automation. Um, we would have to do
Oh, I
that
see. I
server
see.
side rather than using our existing Fleet D kind of policy reporting infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But it would allow for resolution of these automations like as an initial thing for online hosts way faster than the existing policy cadence would do.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay. I see what you're saying. I agree that it could wait. Like what you're saying for now is like this count's gonna get big, this pending count, and then hosts are gonna sit in
well,
there for a long time,
even the
up to
pending,
an hour.
so the pending count would not change because um, the way that policies work
I
is
see, yeah.
we set up the policy and then the policy doesn't get executed until hosts check in. So
Right.
this pending count down at the bottom is only for cases where we know the policy has failed and
Right. Okay, so the
install
pending count's
executed.
gonna be frozen for a little bit
Yes.
until we start to get results back. Yeah,
Right.
Wait,
I see what you're saying.
actually, Ian, could you just finish that sentence for my benefit? You said the pending shows when
So
we know that it's failed, but then what was the rest of that?
so the workflow here for any given host, and this
Hmm.
is repeated, for however many hosts on the team, you flip that install toggle or the update toggle. That creates a
Hmm.
policy. That policy
Hmm.
runs on effectively next vital sync, which is hourly.
Oh, oh, okay.
And until that policy runs and fails, an install will not be queued up.
Right.
So there's not going to be any visual indication, like the not installed number is not going to go down, the installed number is not
Hmm.
going to go up, the pending
Hmm.
number for the package is not going to go up until hosts start checking in. Which, like,
Ah, okay.
this this revised UX makes it a lot more obvious that policies take a
Hmm.
while to execute, and like we can, with the existing Fleet D setup, we could shortcut that with just fleet server implementation changes. Um,
Hmm.
that should be a separate ticket in the name
Hmm.
of iteration, but if we built it out, that would be a super powerful abstraction, because given how long, for example, Intune takes to do basically anything on a machine, uh, like it, it would be it would be press release worthy. Anyway, with
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
that
all
sounds
that
super cool.
with all that said, one bit of visual feedback here. We've got all of these toggles up at the top on what's kind of the inventory part of the UI, rather than next to the package.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like
that's
that
one thing that I
though,
was
because you're
right.
doing
Go ahead.
like you're using this information, right? I think the challenge will be like somehow indicating that this is what's getting installed,
Right.
Eugene. But like I like the information or like the actions living close to the information, because like ultimately you could imagine a future in which like this is a pie chart. We were talking about this,
Yeah.
and you've got like, I don't know, a portion have the app installed, and then maybe you click, this might be weird, but you click on this section of the pie chart, like that becomes the install action. Like I
Yeah, I
think
don't
So
like that. I would not do that. But
not that specifically, but like we're trying to like create that like a mental model like that, like fill the rest of the pie, if you know what I mean.
um, I I'll go one step. I'll throw the curveball in here of when I would say this is not an if thing. This is a when thing. We support multiple installers per team. Then
multiple installers per team. You mean
yeah,
multiple packages?
yes.
No, we won't. At
Okay.
least we don't have any plan to for now. There's no use case that I know of that would benefit from it. That's why we've like placed that restriction there intentionally, because we think that this is the way, the simpler way. We could
Why
be
do you think it's a
wrong.
when versus yeah, Ian, why do you think it's an if when versus if then?
I uh with teams as baselines, having, for example, installers for different architectures on the same team, so that we don't push one pass to um a
Fair,
certain
fair.
person in dog food. That
Okay, fair. I always
Yeah.
thought you meant like different versions and stuff like that.
Well, like it at that point, it could be whatever, but like architecture is a really good example of this.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's
But for
technically a
I
different
guess I
app,
was bringing
right?
up versions. Versions we don't want to get in that.
Yeah,
Uh,
versions doesn't make as much sense, because with teams as baselines, like if you want to install different versions, then you have your canary team.
correct.
But
Yeah.
for architecture, um, it it may matter more.
Yeah. Agreed. Makes sense.
Um, yeah, the from visual feedback perspective, that was the kind of only thing I had
So
other than actually targets being default all and actually being visible in this UI rather than being hidden until,
oh, okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, that was weird. What just happened? What is going on? Okay, yeah, that,
Like making that visible and not having that as part of
right.
install and update.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
yeah.
Um, one thing, I don't know why this is like zooming in weird ways. So one of the reasons I left this up here versus putting it down here is because if you had like 10 versions and it pushed everything down, I wanted this
Yep.
to be fairly prominent, which is the
Sure.
reasoning behind this. To your point though, if we do get to a point where we have multiple packages that we're doing this for, then I think it would make sense to move things down here. And then I don't know if this makes any sense, but I don't know if we would want override for everything, where if you turn this on, it would do it for all of them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, like
that's possible, maybe.
yeah, to your
So you can
point,
do.
the automatic install and update at that point, you would have to pick one.
Mhm.
Um, so as I'm getting rightfully pushed back on moving things around, having it at a title level still winds up making sense since we are using teams as a primary abstraction and then targeting within that effectively as a deny list for these hosts are not allowed to install this. Like is basically
Oh,
what we
right. Mhm.
um but yeah, this fair enough that this stays here.
I
Uh
see what you're saying for the multiple. Yeah, let's think about it for a second. The different architectures. Like to the user, we don't want to burden the user with having to decide like install the ARM package on ARM. We just want the user to be like install 1Password where it's missing and Fleet handles
yes.
um,
Yep.
which package should go where.
Yep.
So that's kind of
Mm.
that. That's why I want to
Yeah, that's fair.
distinguish that
Right.
sequence.
This, I think, also has implications on the actions drop down um,
Yeah.
for the actual package because there are things that we're effectively moving out of there and we
Yep.
should move them out of there.
Yep.
So like targets is the big one.
I
Right.
also think we were going to slap. We're going to remove policies too, right,
Mhm.
Eugene?
Eventually. Well, eventually, were we doing it here now, or should it be a separate ticket?
I would design it all. We can cut up the tickets later, right? I think if
Well, the problem is if we're going to drop them now, but then we say we're not going to drop them now, I'm gonna have to design the stuff and put it in,
So what we
right?
can,
Because
so
that's
policies are still useful to show if we have ones that are not the ones that we created. So like the examples on policies here are not actually relevant. However, if we change the titles of those policies in the Figma to like my custom policy one, my custom policy two, that would be valid. You can still set up automations on your own.
right, connect the policies. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I,
But then we still want to be able to show the ones that Fleet created for sake of
I I don't think we do.
no, for remember for
I thought for troubleshooting,
yeah,
somebody said for
exactly.
troubleshooting we wanted to show
For
them.
for troubleshooting, but that would be so I think I had suggested the idea of like tool tipping it or something to that effect, getting it out of the flow of like, hey, this is an implementation detail. If you want to see the implementation detail, fine, but you don't care, you shouldn't care. If you're super curious, here's it. Here it is.
Well, we could do a toggle to show and hide if that was the case.
Yeah, I think so.
That's fair.
Because one thing I think we talked about was do they we don't even they don't even need to know that it's a policy,
Yes.
right? They just want to see the query
Right. We just
in the
want to show,
policy. Because we
yeah.
might not we might decide at some point in the future we're not going to use policies for this.
No,
Right.
no, we're going to use policies. moving forward.
Even though
Uh,
we're hiding it?
so iOS, iPadOS, Android.
Yeah, we're going to have to add at some point this concept of like similar to how we did it for Chrome OS, like these foreign vitals, ones that don't come back from OS query. We're going to build on top of the policy as the trigger, I think, in that world too. It'll stay policies, but it'll be this new kind. Like the data won't come from OS query, it'll come from whatever we collect with MDM commands. But the policy like layer for the trigger is going to stay the same. Policies will be the rule engine.
So at some point, we might want to extend policies to have more nuanced timing than like once an hour. But that would be an extension of policies rather than,
Correct.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, Eugene, I think one more piece of UI feedback I have for you is
Mhm.
I want to like throw up one constraint with like how forms and toggles behave today. We don't have any instance of like toggle to auto save in the UI today, which is a little bit weird. All we have today is like toggles within a form that has a save button. I think for this iteration, like let's stay within that UI framework. I agree it's a little
I,
bit strange, but
I don't. Oh wait, I'm not sure I understand that.
like what happens when you click allow self-service? Like I'm looking at this here and I'm imagining like it
Oh,
just happens, right?
oh, right. That would be the idea. But you want it to show up a bubble or something that
Yeah,
makes
just
you
because we
save
don't
it.
have that,
Okay.
like that
Oh, okay.
that's a good thing that we can save for
So,
later, I think.
so basically, you want like this, right? To
Correct.
allow
Yeah,
and
with like a
save. Okay.
save. Yeah.
Like a confirm basically modal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Well.
It's
if
just a
we did
pattern we don't have yet.
if
So
we did that, we could actually, so like targeting and self-service are actually kind of in the same ballpark. So if we're going to have
Okay.
modal, we have, we deal with those. And then that gets us back to this page being read only unless you're in a modal. And then
Okay. Right. Okay.
for install and update, um, given that we don't have auto applying toggles right now, if we swap those out for buttons that if once you have the thing added, then you go from like a primary button to a secondary button if you want to edit or remove.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that pattern generally. Because then like the buttons become like weirder. Like then you have to say then the button should say like uninstall, right? And then this button would be like remove update for the button to actually say what it does. Versus like
Yes.
this actually like yeah, which I don't like. Because then it's like remove update. Like this, I think gives you more information with these toggles versus a button which would mask some of that information potentially.
something worth trying, Eugene,
Oh, I tried
is
buttons and I didn't like them.
no,
Oh,
no,
sorry, you
no,
were gonna
sorry.
say? Oh, you're gonna say?
Something
No, you're
different.
gonna
I
say?
think something worth trying is you're gonna like when you think about the actions here, right? You're gonna realize that a lot of the stuff, including like target and self-service, is being pulled
Mm-hmm.
up here,
Mm-hmm.
which potentially I think means like um, this will just have edit and delete, right?
Right. Yep.
Um, but
I was thinking of using icons or like surfacing those actions versus having a drop down. But
right,
then I
that's what I
also,
was thinking too. But and
yeah,
then
yeah,
at that point, like we could call these all actions. You know what I mean? Like these are all actions that you're taking.
right.
Like it makes it more like do this thing, similar to how like yeah, you're saying actions delete, like you're taking some action here, like I don't know, maybe this is just my opinion, but like the toggles don't feel as much of like blast this out kind of thing. Like if they're, it's worth trying, I think, like actions drop down with install, update, allow self-service as the verbs and see how that feels.
Yeah, but well, I feel like you're making me do more things then, right? I have to go to actions to the thing and select it, and then I'd have to find another place to show the thing's active.
I see what you're saying. Do you mind trying it though? I just think it's clearer. Like right now, I'm looking at this and
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I click the toggle to install. Is that, is that a setting? Is that an action? Like that's, I'm getting a little bit confused on, because I'm used to like toggles on my iPhone where I'm like turning on some specific setting or not. But this is really like install this software on all my hosts that don't have it installed.
Well, you're turning on the actions that you're doing, but that's fine. I'll render
Yeah,
the
just
thing that
try
you're
it. And
suggesting.
I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm curious to see how it
Okay.
feels that way. I'll write it down
And then
in
I'll
the
also,
doc too.
and then the other thing I'll do is I'll have to add all those like script stuff to the modals, which I completely forgot to do. So I'll add like the advanced scripting stuff to the modals.
Yeah, like we can't get rid of
Oh, I didn't
um
do it on purpose. I did it
yeah,
by
you know,
accident.
like I'm mainly saying this as like we can't get rid of the edit modal because there's all that advanced stuff in there and there's like edit package and that sort of thing. So we have to keep in mind that either you replace that actions menu with top level things, one of which will be edit, one of which will be delete,
Mhm.
or you keep an actions menu and two of those items will be respectively edit and delete.
Yeah, and then maybe it makes sense for them to live over here, like a pencil and a delete icon. I don't know. You can play with it, Eugene.
Those scripts, actually, this is one question I have then. Those scripts currently, actually, we're hitting time, but um, the scripts, where's my thing?
Scripts are
So when I add
relevant for
software,
custom packages.
oh,
Um,
oh no, I'm just not sure exactly where they live now in this new world. So these scripts are part of installing. Is that correct?
these are specific to the package, yes.
Is a pack? Oh, they're specific to the package.
Yep.
Okay.
And they happen
Okay.
during when you hit install, right?
Install
They
Like these are
or
the,
happen
uninstall,
during
yeah.
install.
yeah,
So they
like,
should be. So they should then be more closely tied to the
Like
bottom part.
those, yeah,
They're
those should, yeah.
okay. So if I want to edit them or whatever, they should not be up here. They should be part of this thing. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. 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 Cool. All right. Thank you. All right. I think we're at time. I'll doodle on this a little more. I'll do some updates to this based on what we talked about, and I'll try the other one with the actions thing, and then we can convene tomorrow.
sounds good. I'm just
Very
drawing,
good.
so I take a quick screenshot for you and then drop it in the notes. Cool. All right.
Right.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
y'all.
guys in a minute.
See you.
Bye.